Yo, as always, like, share, subscribe. Now let's just get into it. So the Michigan Wolverines just defeated the New Mexico Lobos. What was it? 34-17. And shout out to New Mexico. They fought. They fought. And like I said in the pregame analysis, Coach Eck, he brought a lot of his guys from Idaho State with him to New Mexico. So he kind of had that same cohesiveness and culture. I think that cohesiveness is a word. It might not be. But he brought that culture with him and the players that were in his system, a lot of them. So they fought, They played Oregon tough last year and they tried to give us a little scare. So let's just get into it. So Michigan comes out and Bryce is impressive. I'm not gonna lie, Bryce was impressive. Like is when he said they never seen a freshman like me, he kind of backed it up today. I ain't gonna front, and that's all you got to do. Keep backing it up. But Michigan gets the ball, scores. I believe it was Justice Hayes on a 50-yarder. He looked good, very good. Jordan Marshall struggled a little bit in this game, but I'll get to that a little bit later. But so Michigan basically gets up 17-0, and then Wink starts to wink, and I don't know why he does this. Like Wink just maybe since he's from the pros, he just has no respect for some of these lower level teams, and he wants to. Here he comes with the backups. All of a sudden, Zeke Berry's off the field and Josiah Edmonds on the field, and New Mexico starts going right at him, throwing screens over there. He can't get off his block, so they getting yards on that. Something simple as that. He can't get off his block. A 2-yard gain turns into a 7 or 8 or 9-yard gain. Then he got a penalty on a pass interference. Also, but the thing is that gave them some life, that gave them some life and some momentum, and I just don't understand why he does it. I know somebody will say, well, he knows more than you. Okay. But it sparked New Mexico. And also I don't get it because you need to get your starters ready for Oklahoma. Let them play the game. Let them blow these dudes out. And then you bring up the backup corners. I don't understand why you bringing in backup corners like that. Because you're probably going to blow them out. They'll still get their reps later in the game. They'll still get their reps. I don't see why he's so anxious to put in backup corners. I don't get it. I don't get it. But that sparked New Mexico's offense, and then Michigan's offense kind of sputtered a little bit. It was just kind of 3 and out, I believe. And then Andrew Marsh fumbled a punt. I mean, not a punt. Andrew Marsh fumbled a kick return, which also helped them. I think they got a field goal on that one. And then Samaj muffed a punt, but he got it back. So you can't going into Oklahoma. I like Marsh, and I like what he can bring to the table on kick return, but that's the risk you take by putting a freshman back at kick return, ball security. So, that kind of kept them in the game. Then later in the third quarter, I want to say, Barham. Barham comes on a blitz free, and he hits the quarterback. Barham's kind of tall. He kind of jumps on the quarterback, and it's helmet to helmet, I guess you would say, or face mask to face mask, and they end up calling targeting. So Barham is kicked out of this game, and then also he's suspended for the first half of the Oklahoma game. So great, you know, just wild. And people are saying that it wasn't helmet to helmet. I mean, it wasn't targeting. We'll we'll have to figure that out because the rule is open to interpretation. These refs and these booth guys, it's up to their interpretation of the rule. So we'll see. I think Michigan can appeal it, and hopefully it gets overturned because Barham's played a lot of football. He's one of our best linebackers. We need him out there. So after that, Michigan, the Lobos score again on that drive. They get another play. They get another play that kept that drive going, which was it was like a corner route, and the receiver bobbles it. He doesn't have control before he goes out of bounds. They hurry up to the line. It doesn't get reviewed. Sharon, it happened so fast. Sharon probably didn't even get a chance to see it again, honestly. It should have been the booth to review it, but long story short, it doesn't happen, and they score on that. They score on that drive, and then Michigan kind of takes control. Bryce making throws. Haynes busts another long one, and ball game. Pretty much. And the defense just starts getting sacks. The defense is getting sacks and just making plays. So now I'm just going to, I get nitpicky on different things. So I guess I'll start with the offense. So Bryce looks sharp. Bryce was impressive. Bryce was impressive. Like, the hype, the build up for what he can be and what he can do, it was on display. Now, Michigan didn't run him. You could tell that they told him not to run. You could tell that he was trying not to run when maybe it was there, or maybe he could have gotten some yards or whatever. You could tell that they told him don't run. We need you. Don't run. We can't afford you to take any big hits. But for the most part, Bryce was sharp, and he looked like one of our best players on offense. I'm just gonna keep it real. Besides Haynes, he looked the part, and he was impressive. Shout out to Juju. He was saying, I want to see Bryce show command of the offense, and he showed it. He showed it for the most part, but he still got. It's just gonna keep getting better and better with him. The more he plays, the more he sees, the more he learns. It's just going to get better and better with him. And then when we play a team like Oklahoma, he's going to have to use his legs. They're not going to be able to say, don't use your legs. We're going to need him. Because one thing I took from the offense, we got big plays in the run game from Justice Haynes. Shout out to him. He was, Haynes had 16 carries for 159, 9.9 a carry, 3 TDs. He was balling. But the offense got stagnant because it wasn't consistent. And what I mean by that is the consistency of the run game. You get what I mean? Not just the big explosive plays, but the consistency down to down. And we were trying to run it, and it wasn't working. Bryce, I think Marlon Klein dropped the pass, let it go through his hands. There were a few drops in this game also. And, we had some drives stall out fast, and then it just kind of sputtered with the run game. The run game wasn't consistent to me. It had some big chunk plays, but it wasn't consistent, if that makes sense. So that's going to be something to watch out for. Are they going to be able to consistently run block well? That's something to watch, because you had two run plays blocked almost perfectly, but the rest, there's a lot to be desired, honestly. Jordan Marshall didn't run the ball very well. The blocking really wasn't there for him. He kind of struggled a little bit, but he had a couple flashes, I guess you would say, a little bit. Well, not really. He had 11 carries for 29 yards, 2.6 a carry, 5-yard long. So we'll see how that goes. But I think we got to see more consistency in the run game. And I think Sharon brought that up also. Fred Moore had a drop. Samaj is gonna get touches, and shout out to Samaj because he looks like he's gotten faster. And that's the thing about being in college, being in the program, being in the weight room. You're trying to get to your peak. You're trying to get to your peak, and it looks like he's been putting in the work in the weight room, and he's gotten a little bit quicker and a little bit faster. So Samaj got a nice amount of targets. It seemed like. What did he have? Samaj had 4 targets for 33 yards, 8.3 yards average, but most of these are screens. And then he had two runs for 14 yards. So Samaj is going to get his touches, it looks like. And today at least he was making the most of them, running hard when he got the ball. Marlon Klein led the team in receptions, 6 receptions for 93 yards. Marlon Klein looked good. He looked good. He had a drop or two, but he looked good for the most part. McCulley also looked good. He got most of his work done on like comeback routes, like some comeback routes to the sideline. But him and Bryce were on point on almost all of them. McCulley had four catches for 31 yards. But yeah, the biggest thing I saw from Bryce was when the offense sputtered and we turned it over and New Mexico got the ball. No, we turned it over. New Mexico got the ball, scored, and it was about a minute and something left before the half. Bryce ran a 2-minute drill that was very impressive. It was impressive. As soon as we needed him, he was right there on point, on target, and he didn't look like that drive. He definitely didn't look like a freshman on that drive. That was impressive. So the sky's the limit for Bryce. I ain't gonna front. He the real deal. Evan Link, I was watching him. He played pretty good for the most part. He did get beat on a play, and I think Bryce got sacked. And then Bryce got sacked on another play, but I can't remember who got beat. It might have been Sprague. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, the offense looked good with the big plays, but it's the consistency. We need the consistency in the run game, or we're going to have to put a lot of this on Bryce, which we don't want to do. So that's it right there that's it for the most part for the offense. Goodwin had a couple catches. He had 2 catches for 49 yards, and he had a long of 39. I didn't get that deep throw that I wanted to see from Bryce, but he had some throws to show you like, bro, I'll burn you. But we really didn't try to throw deep with him, or that deep, I guess you would say, because people have different metrics on what's a deep pass. So now let me get to the defense, because people are talking about like the defense played bad, which they didn't. It was really just a couple drives. The one drive that they scored on, that's when Josiah Edmonds was in and he was getting picked on. He's a young dude. He really shouldn't have been out there at that time, to me. But they were picking on him. And then they got us with a couple trick plays. And then the other drive, that was the Barham targeting call. And then the pass to the sideline that wasn't reviewed, that was an incompletion. And then they got us with a good play action to get the score. But it was really just 2 drives. I mean, they only scored 17. It was really those 2 drives. But on defense, Mason Curtis looked good. And the thing about the defense, our defense is a bend but don't break defense. It's a bend but don't break defense. Really want to try to get off the field on 3rd down, but it's a bend but don't break. In this game, sometimes our corners were 8 yards off, 10 yards off, So it's a bend but don't break defense. You bend and then you stop them, force them into a situation on 4th down or to get a field goal, So that's the defense is made to give up some yardage. That's one thing. But and Wink was trying some stuff. He not only with the lineup and rotations, but he was trying some different things with his defensive calls also. Wink looks at these games like, I'm about to try some stuff. I'm about to put in these young dudes that might not barely play this year, and I'm about to try some stuff. That's just what he just does this, which I don't understand since you got Oklahoma next week. But let's move on. So Mason Curtis looks good, looks the part, looks good. Hillman was out there headhunting. I saw Jaden Mangum make some nice plays. TJ Guy got an interception. A ball got. We had 3 interceptions in this game. And I want to say 2 or 3 sacks. 3 sacks. We had 3 sacks. Besides, I think what was it? Nate Marshall got one. He got in late and looked good. But they were hitting the quarterback, bro. Like, I got to give it to their quarterback. He was battling. I got to give it to New. He showed some heart because he was getting throttled. He was like, we weren't sacking him most of the time because I think 2 of these sacks came like late in the fourth quarter. But they were just hitting him and hitting him and hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. And he was getting up, ready to try to make the next throw. He was 31 of 47 for 208, 1 TD, 3 interceptions. But he would not give up. Ain't no quitting that dude. Jack Lane, ain't no quitting him. Shout out to him. That boy got heart because he took a beating. He took a beating today. Let's see. Sharon, no challenge on the bobble. I don't even think he got a chance to see it really. TJ Metcalf was slick balling in the red zone, coming around that edge. He was slick balling. I saw some nice plays out of him. Jair got worked he got worked a couple times by their receivers. Shout out to him. They were trying to get it to him quite a bit. And he worked over Jair Hill, worked him over at the line. Got a big penalty on Jair Hill in the end zone. So our starters got work. I'm going to save that when I finish talking about these points. Brandon Hillman got an interception, which was kind of a arm punt. He just was like, let me just throw it, and he still got the interception. Cole Sullivan got an interception because we were constantly hitting this dude. Like, there were so many balls that got tipped or he was getting hit and the ball just kind of pops in the air. Like, there were so many tip balls and chances for us to get interceptions. If we could have probably ended up with 6 interceptions in this game if the luck, if the football gods bless us to be in the area, because there were so many balls that were just hanging up and dudes were trying to get them, but we couldn't get all of them. But yeah, so those were kind of the spotlights. The starters in the offense, like, because Bryce played this whole game. The starters in the offense and a lot of the starters and rotational guys on defense, they got a lot of work in this game. More than I wanted them to get. Because when you're playing a cupcake, I guess you would say, the biggest thing is health. You want to get out of there healthy. You don't want to get injured playing a team you're supposed to dominate and you're slick dominating them, but they're still somewhat in the game. You don't want one of your starters to get hurt, But they got a lot of work in. They did. The whole rotation on defense and pretty much all the offense too. Michigan got some work in today, and I guess you could say it was a blessing in disguise because Bryce got to feel some of the different types of moments that can happen in a game. He didn't get a 4th and 2 kind of at the end of the game. He didn't get the 4th and 2. He was kind of indecisive on that play. And he just got to feel what it's like to actually play kind of a whole game. which I kind of wanted him to be out, but he played it safe for the most part. He only got hit a few times in this game. But he was sharp. I was highly impressed by Bryce. Like, honestly, that was the big takeaway from this. That Bryce is nice. He is. And the sky is the limit for him. Now we'll see what the team looks like going into Oklahoma next week, and we'll get to really chop that up. I'm gonna start reviewing their game and seeing what was kind of going on with them. I know they blew out somebody. I can't remember what team it was, but that'll be coming probably Monday or Tuesday. But Michigan started well, and then we got a little sloppy in this game. Whether it was penalties, some miscues, we had too many penalties. The miscues on the punt return, the kick return, and just not consistent on the line, not consistently run blocking and pushing guys around. A couple plays we got the big runs, but it wasn't consistent. It wasn't consistent to where you like, man, we mowing these guys down and they're gonna quit in a minute. That wasn't there, And the way Michigan plays, you need that there because we want to grind you out. We want to grind you out until you quit. And shout out to New Mexico, they never quit. That dude called the timeout to get one more play in at the end because they were on the goal line almost, and then they end up getting sacked again by Boyles. I don't know why I can't say that all of a sudden, but they got sacked by the Georgia transfer. But Michigan played pretty good. It's just the consistently executing. Defense, I could be harder on them, but I saw Wink do this last year. It bit us in the butt last year too. So I'm hoping it doesn't bite us in the butt going into Oklahoma like it did last year with Texas coming to the big house, because the defense was not cohesive. It wasn't as cohesive as it could have been or should have been last year. Your starters and your first off the bench guys, because you were playing around in the first game, flipping dudes in and out. I don't like it. He did it again. And it sparked New Mexico to get a comeback, So I don't know why Wink does this, but I really wish he would just leave the starters in to get the consistency. This isn't like hardball when you had Hawaii, Nevada, and Bowling Green or whoever, when you had 3 straight cupcakes. You could play around. When you got a big game week 2, the first game ain't a play around game. It's not. It's not a play around game, bro. You need to get your starters in rhythm, blow these dudes out, and sit your starters down and let those backup dudes do the rest. That's what you need to do in these games. When you got a big game second week, the first game ain't play around time on defense. You need those guys to get cohesive, especially your new starters. You need them to gel all the way and try to work out as many kinks as possible. Not flip-flopping guys from the bench, guys that probably won't play until later in the year. That's just me. I mean, hey, I ain't the coach, but I ain't no damn fool either. So, so that's kind of what I got on this. Big takeaways: Bryce impressive, defense played pretty good for the most part, but Wink sparked them. To me, Wink sparked them that comeback. He sparked it, putting them in. That's me though. In the penalties. And, the refs a little bit too. But that's kind of all what I got for this one. I kind of want to touch on what I saw in that Ohio State game. Bonus clip. Ohio State, Texas. That was an interesting game. That was an interesting game because watching the whole game, when I watched every snap, Ohio, both teams had first time starters, and Arch had played way more. I mean, I wouldn't say way more, but had started some games before. But this was his first big game start, and he looked as straight garbage. I ain't gonna front. If I was the coach, I probably would have benched him. He was straight garbage for most of that game. He found himself a little bit late in the fourth quarter, but he was still missing wide open guys. Throwing it low, throwing it high, looking scared, confused, don't know when to run. He looked straight garbage. I'm sorry. Like, Ohio State pulled it out. They were able to do enough to, win 14-7. But and I've seen people on TV saying, "Oh, Matt Patricia, they're just going with the Patriots stuff." I wouldn't say that. That quarterback was garbage you played today. It wasn't because of the defense, though. It wasn't. He threw a pick to Jermaine Matthews. Duck. It was a straight duck. That was a duck. That wasn't it. Like, there's a play to be made. Jermaine Matthews, he made the play. But that was a duck. That was a duck. Bad throw. Late. Horrible throw. Wide open dudes. The ball's behind them. The ball's high. He was trash. But it wasn't because they pressured him. Earlier in the game, he's sitting in the pocket. He steps up. He steps up into the rush, into the defender that's getting blocked. So he kind of steps up into his own lineman when he really should have backed up because the pocket was right. The pocket was still there. Not sure why he steps up into his guy and he's throwing it off his guy's, off the back of his guy. And it's a high pass, of course, because he can't even follow through. He was straight garbage. I'm sorry. It's a good win for Ohio State, of course, but I wouldn't be sold on Patricia. And this isn't to say he's good. I wouldn't be sold on him from that. I wouldn't. He missed too many open plays. That dude was shell-shocked. I'm baffled by what I saw from him. Clean pocket. Ohio State didn't get a great pass rush. He had a clean pocket a lot of the times. And he didn't know what to do. When a dude was open in the dirt, threw his first pass, I think he threw in the dirt like Alex Orji. What? Crazy. So it was just wild to me to see that from somebody that's played before. He was shell-shocked. And I will say this, OSU fans or everybody, he may have still been, the last time he played was against Ohio State, and he got knocked out of that game by Lathan Ransom. He may have still been thinking about that. He might not have recovered from that hit. I ain't gonna front. As bad as he played, he didn't know when to run, can't throw accurate half of the time. He might not have recovered. He might have been thinking about that the whole time. Ain't no telling. As bad as he played, he was straight garbage. And then when he showed flashes, because they weren't down, even when Ohio State went up 14, they were still in the game because they only up 14. So somehow he gets them to get a touchdown drive. Then they get the ball back, and they're driving, and guys wide open in the dirt. Guys wide open. Throws it behind them. He made a couple throws, but most of his throws were straight garbage to dudes. Then they weren't garbage because of the pass rush. They weren't garbage because of something OSU did. A lot of these throws were just wide open, and he just missed them. He just missed them. I was like, this is the dude. This is him. This is him. If he can't hit wide open dudes with Texas' schedule, they ain't making the playoff. They ain't making it. They might as well kiss that goodbye. Now, Julian Sand played. He played pretty good. Game manager game. He played pretty good. Didn't ask him to do too much. Made the throws he needed to make. Missed some throws. Was a game manager for the most part. He did enough to win, But neither one of those dudes were very impressive, But if I'm comparing them, Julian Sand looks way better than what Arch was doing. Arch looked straight garbage. He looked straight garbage. He looked like Kirk Campbell been coaching him. He looked like Kirk Campbell is his quarterback coach, And also, and then I'm going to get off of here. Steve Sarkisian, he a bonehead. He a dummy. He's like a dummy. He slick don't know what he's doing. In goal line, he's lost. Once the closer they get to the goal line, he's lost. He doesn't know what a goal line package is. He doesn't know what it is. Like he don't know to get in the goal line package. Your quarterback's mobile. Play it. Get in that big goal line set. 2 backs, fullback, running back, and run the ball. Or play action, bootleg. You got your fullback in the flat, or bring somebody in motion and they come out of the backfield. Like, this doesn't exist. These things don't exist to him. So when they get in the red zone, he's kind of lost. The closer they get to the goal line, and if they're on the 1, 2, 3, he lost. He don't know what to do. This dude don't know what a goal line package is. He don't know what it is. He's just lost, So that's it for them. OSU pulled that one. Well, they controlled it for the most of the game. It shouldn't have been that close as garbage as Arch played. Whether it was Ohio State's defense or whether it was him just being trash. Pick one. Pick them both. I don't care. But the facts are that dude was garbage. And not because of y'all defense. I'm sorry. He wasn't. He was straight trash. That dude was trash, bro. I ain't seen, bro. Like, I swear Davis Warren, hey, Davis Warren might have have played in that game. He might have gave something better than that. But that's all I got. I wanted to touch on that game a little bit because I couldn't believe how bad Arch was, and that was just wild. And I picked him to win the Heisman. Egg on my face. I guess I look as stupid as Sark and everybody else. So that's all I got for this one, y'all. Pre-game analysis will be probably dropping Tuesday. And then don't forget the call-in show is tomorrow if you made it this far. Call-in show is tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Voice of College Football on Thursday. Me, TJ, call-in show, and we'll chop it up about everything that happened in this game. And, yeah, I think that's about it. So, like, share, subscribe, and as always, go blue.